Hello guys, welcome to the channel. It's your boy EO. So I'm a British-Nigerian creator who inspires people to make the move to the African continent, to Kenya, through my reflections and also my opinions. So if this sounds like you, keep on watching the video. So originally I wanted to go to Kenya to experience what it's truly like to be African. So one of the reasons why I did this was to just have a feel for the African traditions. And of course, anywhere you go in the world, whether that's UK or America, of course you're gonna have an African community, African traditions. But there's no place better than the African continent to experience that. So I decided to make a trip to Nairobi, Kenya, because, I was doing research and people were talking about how if you've not been to Kenya, Nairobi, then, you've not been anywhere. You need to go to Nairobi first and make your way to different African countries, or go to somewhere like Ghana or go to Nigeria first. Because all these African countries like Congo, or if you want to go to Angola, those places are not really tourist friendly. They speak Portuguese in Angola, they speak French in Congo. So it's better if you go to the English speaking African countries first. Countries like Nigeria, countries like Ghana, like Nairobi, Kenya. So yeah, even though I'm African and I'm British, my name is Emmanuel, so I'm Nigerian, it means God is with us. But then you can argue and be like, well, why did Nairobi make me feel African? Even though I've got an African name. But being African and wanting to feel a part of Africa is two completely different things. Being African can be a part of your name. You might have an African name, or you might have African parents, But being a part of Africa is actually, going to Africa, experiencing what Africa is like. Whether you go to Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, or whether you go to Ghana, wherever you go is being a part of the culture. That is the difference. Of course, you can experience being African anywhere in the world, even in your own country. But Africa is where all the African traditions started. It all came from Africa, not UK, not America, not Canada, Africa. So you see what I'm trying to say here? So there were particular moments that made me feel African when I was in Nairobi, Kenya. And one of those reasons were every time I would go in an Uber, I would see so many locals selling traditional attire, whether that be the Kenyan attire, what the women wear, or what the men wear as well. I'm always seeing, people selling it on the street. So I forgot the name of the attire of what Kenyans wear. But if anyone knows, please do let me know down in the comments. Another moment that made me feel African in Nairobi was the fact that everywhere you go, you would be hearing Afrobeats, 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 Afrobeats. And of course, you can argue and say, okay, yeah, anywhere in the world, you can listen to Afrobeats. But in Africa, it just feels different. There's just something about you listening to Afrobeats in Kenya or Nairobi or Africa with people that look like you. People that, of course, yeah, are Africans, but they don't really have that Western mindset, like the same mindset that you have with people in the UK, in America. Just because you're black and African doesn't mean you're the same. You can put someone who is a black American, African American, with someone who is a local Kenyan, who's grown up in Kenya for all their life. You can put those two together and they're going to be two completely different people. They're not going to be the same. And that was one of the moments that made me feel African in Nairobi, Kenya. Also, another moment that made me feel proud to be African in Nairobi, Kenya was the fact that everywhere I went, I would see a matatu. I don't know what you guys call those matatus that have different designs on it, but I would be seeing matatus, and they have like local artists from Africa, from Kenya. You know, it's like they've designed the matatus in a different way. Like they have paintings of famous celebrities, famous black musicians, black artists, you know. So it made me feel like, wow, you know, I'm proud to be African. Of course, you can be proud to be African everywhere, but there's just something that when you see a matatu on the road and you're seeing, you know, the matatu have local famous celebrities who are black, who are African, you know, it shows you that they're proud to be African, they're proud to be Kenyan. So that was a moment that made me connect with Nairobi, and it made me feel African. So what are the things that I've learned from, you know, that experience of going to Nairobi, you know, feeling African again, you know, being proud to be African? So the first thing that I learned was, whether you're Tanzanian and you're living in Kenya, or whether you're from Ethiopia, Somalia, and you're living in Kenya, everyone is proud to be themselves, and they're not afraid of what people think of them. You know, that, oh yeah, they're African and is a burden. No. They are proud to be in Kenya. They are proud to be a part of the African continent. But yeah, of course, yeah, they might say, yeah, I'm Kenyan, or I'm Nigerian, or I'm Ghanaian. But I feel like in places like the US, the UK, some people have that perception that, oh yeah, if I'm African, oh yeah, I don't want to be African, you know? They're black, they're African, but inside they're white, or they're Mexican, or, you know? So they still have that kind of perception about themselves that, yeah, I'm black, but inside I'm white, or inside I'm mixed race, you know. So they're not really accepting Africa, you know. So that's really sad, but that's how it is, you know. But yeah, not everyone is like that. Before you guys get on to me on the comments, I'm not saying everybody is like that, just some people. Some people. Also, going to Nairobi, Kenya, it also made me realize and acknowledge that being African, before I went to Kenya, Nairobi, I had that perception that it was mostly gonna be like, I was mostly gonna see black people that are African. But when I went to Nairobi, it made me learn that being African can come in all races. You know, I've seen people in Nairobi that are Indians, that are Arabs, that are Chinese, you know, and they all grew up in Kenya, and they grew up in the continent. So they consider themselves as African. You know, before I came to Kenya, I thought I was only going to see black people, and I was really surprised because I was not expecting to see that type of diversity in Nairobi. So that was something that I had to learn, and it was something that was really a valuable lesson for me. So guys, this is the end of the video. If you're into honest stories, reflections on the African continent, on Kenya, you're in the same position as me, wanting to learn more about Kenya, wanting to find out if Kenya is the right place for you, or if going to the African continent is for you, make sure to subscribe. Also, make sure to like the video and comment. Peace.